Mama is getting ready for bed. I actually was not going to do a review of this episode because, real talk, guys, this season has been very boring. The most interesting stuff about this season has happened like off camera, you know what I mean? Like on Instagram and all this stuff, you know, in these production streets. Because word on the street is, and I told you guys this in previous reviews, that the network is trying to get rid of the, you know, OGs because the OGs are too expensive. The first OG to go was Lisa Vanderpump, but she left for two reasons. Lisa, allegedly. Lisa left because, you know, she didn't like getting exposed on the show and she felt like the ladies were coming after her, even though everybody has their day on that show. She didn't like her day coming, okay? She also left because she couldn't negotiate a rate. You know what I mean? She could not negotiate the same rate because these shows are not bringing in the numbers that they used to bring back in the day. Here is why. The women are getting older. You know, they're not as hungry as they used to be in the beginning. And they're starting to produce these storylines. So they're not really believable. And the stuff that is really happening to them outside of this show, the show is not covering. The first break in that was when Dorit got sued. Her and PK got sued for, you know, embezzling people's money, stealing from investors and all of those things, allegedly. It was never talked about on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We didn't know that it was a real story until one of the ladies who was suing Dorit and PK flew to, I think, Mexico, where they were at, and filmed Dorit and confronted her about her coin. When that came out, everybody was just like, oh, what's going on? And we were all ready to see that happen on the show. But then we realized that that had already been filmed and that we had already saw the episode where Dorit was confronted, but we did not see that. We saw it on Instagram. So that was another problem. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills started losing viewers because of that, because it just was not interesting anymore, because we're only seeing the ladies produce storylines. We're not seeing their real life. This also happens when the ladies start becoming buddies with the production company, but the network ain't nobody's friend. So when you're buddying up to producers and EPs and, you know, story producers, when y'all are all friends and you're friends with the editors or whatever, you can tell them what you want to be put on there. That's another thing that happens with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Nene was a big person, allegedly, who was, you know, creating storylines. And because she was really good friends with certain producers, certain things about her would not come up. But things about her enemies or people that she wasn't rocking with that season would come up. We, the viewers, were able to see that something wasn't right, something was authentic, and it wasn't interesting because the ladies were just putting up stuff that made them look good, while we're also watching real things happen to these ladies on social media, but it's not being filmed on the show. So people just started turning away from that. And then you have streaming services like Hulu and Netflix and Amazon, who are coming up with these really good reality TV shows that people are now flocking to, because not only are they more interesting, not only is it new, not only are the people on there young and hungry and will do whatever they need to do to make a show, also broke, so they need this coin to do what they have to do so they can get another season. Also, the show is on a streaming service. Not a lot is censored. Case in point, Love is Blind is killing these reality TV shows. And this was just word of mouth. Netflix did minimal advertising on this show. And every day I'm on Twitter or Instagram, any kind of social media, there are people talking about this show, just discovering it for the first time and flocking to it. And now these ladies who have been doing this for 10 plus years are dealing with this kind of competition. And they're not producing the same quality, but they're getting more money. So the network is like, we can only pay you what you give us. And if you're not giving us these viral, you know, shows, these viral episodes, if you're not trending, why am I paying you $3 million a season if I'm not profiting off of that? It makes total sense. So we started seeing happening with Vicky and Tamara when they started getting rid of them and wanted Tamara to come back for $20K. And she was like, hell no, I wouldn't do it either. If I had income coming in from something else and I didn't need the show, I wouldn't do it either. To go from $2 million a season to now $20K and you're just being a friend where you were a lead, I totally understand. I hope Cut Fitness, provides some money, because we know that Eddie ain't really got a job. You know what I mean? He's a kept man. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Vicky says she wouldn't come back if they wanted her to be a friend. But again, the network is not going to pay you $3 million if the views ain't coming in like that. And that's what's happening with all of these shows. I know Nene is denying all this stuff. Andy is over there confirming it. But we all know that she has not been cut out of the show. But this is what she negotiated. If you're going to give me less, I'm going to do less. And that is what she has been doing this season. And unfortunately, the season has been very boring. It rarely trends. Nobody's really checking for it. And I think at this point, the network either needs to get rid of the OGs and start fresh, mix it up, mix up, the cast or whatever, make half OGs, half newbies, or just go all new, or try a different city, try a different state. Something needs to happen, because this formula is no longer working. It also happened with Bethany. The only reason why she didn't, come back is because she could not agree to a fee from the network. She wanted something else. They lowballed her as, they could, because the shows aren't bringing in it. The shows aren't bringing in the views like they used to. New York is doing good, right? It's not doing what it used to do. That's the issue. So you have to realize the network is getting paid by advertisers to be able to post their commercials during this show, right? So the network says to advertisers, hey, that's what upfronts are. Basically where the network takes the cast of a show that they're doing and they put them in front of advertisers and say, this is the show. It's going to be very interesting. These are the people who are going to be in it. And, you go around and you meet all of these companies, Nabisco, Pepsi, Aveda, L'Oreal, all of these companies, right? And if the companies like you and they think that your show is going to do well, they tell the network, this is how much we will pay to advertise our commercial during this season. The network responds and says, okay, this is how much they're going to bring in. This is how many people watch this. How much you'll pay to play your commercial during this episode, right? But the network can't charge what they used to charge 10 years ago if you're not bringing in the same views, because the network has to show these companies how many views this show is bringing in. That's just business. And if you're not bringing in what you used to bring in, now the advertiser, now Nabisco is saying, well, I paid $15 million because I knew that at least during this episode, 3 million people were going to view my commercial. Possibly, right? However, y'all only getting 1.3 million. So I'm not giving you 15. I'll give you 6. So that's what's starting to happen. So the network is like, well, we're not going to cut our paychecks. We're going to cut your paychecks because you're not doing your job. I think at this point, if the OGs are not going to play ball and they're not going to step back, they just need to cut all the OGs. I really think they need to do an all-star housewife show where they have all of the housewives, mix them up, put them in, a home or whatever, or switch up cities or something. I think if we're going to keep the OGs, you cannot keep them on their respected seasons if you are not going to pay them what they were getting paid. If they're not going to fall back as a friend, if they're not going to, give what they used to give because they're bitter about their rate, put them in an all-star season and let's see what happens there. That's my 2 cents. Now let's talk a bit about this boring episode. Oh, and shout out to the bigger YouTubers who watch my reviews and recycle my jokes. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. Love that you're here. Pay me. Let me stop. But you know you're good when people are like stealing your content. That's how you know. Because I watched somebody and I was just like, this is my whole freaking video. My whole freaking video. Like, you took my whole video and just put it in yours. You could do that. That's just how it is. It's a dog eat dog world. But baby, I'm on your heels. Stay woke. Anyway, this episode opens up with Eva in full drag, okay? Sis was beat to the gods on bed rest. I love that. That's how extra I would hope to be when I'm pregnant, but who knows? But she is now on bed rest because in the last episode, she was going into labor, but I guess something happened and Dr. Jackie stopped it, but now she put her on bed rest So this is how she's going to film a majority of the season, remainder of the season until she has the baby. My question is, she was on bed rest, right? But she was also in every episode, walking and bowling and, you know, showing up at kickball. And I'm like, if you're on bed rest because you almost went into labor, early labor, why are you at all these events? Like, it didn't make sense to me. So I don't know. I don't want to say that this woman is lying on her baby, right? It just didn't make sense to me for you to, like, you know, be very concerned that your baby's going to be born early and your doctor is putting you on bed rest, but you're still filming this show, leaving your home and in every scene. I don't know if she probably did that for financial reasons, which is very understandable. Also very risky. You know what I mean? To risk your child for a paycheck. Listen, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, girl, it's never that deep. It's never that deep. So maybe that's what's happening. But it was just very weird to me to see her on bed rest and do this whole confessional about how the doctor wants her on bed rest and, you know, see how she was acting last week. Not acting, but see how she was last week with the baby and being very concerned and, you know, don't want the baby to be born early and then show up at kickball and bowling. Something in the water ain't clean. I ain't never had a child. I ain't never been pregnant. Those who have, let me know if this is sitting right with you or if this is something that is like normal. I'm not sure. It just threw me off a bit. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Mike and Cynthia. I think that Mike is a great guy. A lot of you know that I posted my Fox Soul interview on my YouTube where I was on his talk show talking about my YouTube experience. And after that, we hung out with him for a bit. He's a really great guy. He's a really great guy. I think that Cynthia got a good egg. I have to be honest. I did not think that he was being fair with Cynthia. Maybe he would rather have had this conversation off camera. Oh, I hope I have not been showing my titties this whole time. I'm about to go to bed. Anyway, I do think that he was being a bit harsh on her because she was asking, you know, important questions, especially if you're about to marry this man, you know, about him being, you know, unfaithful. And I think he just got a little bit sore that she was asking him these kind of questions and then saying stuff like, well, if I cheat again, then that's on me. That's not something that you tell your future wife, especially if you have a history of cheating on your past wives. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like he should have been reassuring her than being defensive. I want him to grow in that area. I think he's a great guy, but that bothered me. What y'all think about that? Because I was just like, oh, no, Mike. I wouldn't want to hear that from somebody I'm about to marry. Like, you really need to honestly answer these questions without being defensive because you were the one who broke your vows. So you should never be on the defense. You know what I mean? You should always be in a place of repentance. You know what I mean? And I definitely understand that he probably is tired of talking about it, right? But if your future wife asks you about it, especially if it had just come up like 2 episodes ago, I think you can give her more of a leeway, you know, give her more of a break when talking about it if it's not something that you have been talking about repeatedly. What did you guys think? Because I was on Cynthia's side. Aside from this page boy hat, wig hat, was the wig attached to this hat? This little, you know, remember the Dutch boy on the paint? That's what that was giving me. And I was just like, if you take that Dutch boy hat off, does the wig come with it? Ghetto, genius, or both? Real quick, I am so upset that wealthy, successful Kandi Burruss has reduced herself to the bone carrier this season. You know what I mean? It's just, for me, I just feel like it's so beneath her. But I know that she's doing this to, like, you know, create drama, to give herself, you know, a reason to be on this, you know, season. But it just seems like you've never really been this character. So to have you be this character, I don't know. It's just, it's not sitting right with me. I know, you know, this is her job and she's doing what she has to do. But I'm like, you don't give me bone carrier. I don't like you being a bone carrier, Kandi. And I think she's being this character because she is doing really good in her life. Like, everything is really going well and she doesn't really have any drama. Aside from OLG getting shot up, you know what I mean? But that happened, you know, just recently. So I think that'll probably happen. That'll probably be discussed next season if she does come back. But bone carrier, nah. I want a better storyline for you next season. I don't like you as the bone carrier. It doesn't fit, in my opinion. What y'all think? A lot of people were bothered by this kickball scene. A lot of people on Twitter thought it went on for way too long. I actually enjoyed it. As you guys know, I like my train wreck TV, but I like my train wreck TV with balance. I really enjoyed seeing these successful Black women come together, even though they had differences, come together and just have a really good time playing a simple game of kickball. It was fun. I enjoyed Marlo and Kenya, you know, having a good time, you know, Kenya high-fiving her and coaching her. And I don't know, I don't always like to see them being messy and petty and tearing each other down and being shady. I don't enjoy that all the time. You know what I mean? I love a little shade, a little read. The nastiness is not necessarily my cup of tea. Like I said before, I started watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta because for me, these ladies were just comical. It was pure comedy. I check in and out when it gets like violent and nasty because listen, a lot is going on in this world. I don't need to be tuning into something that's making me feel even worse than what I'm dealing with, you know, every day in America. Okay. So I enjoy them having fun. It was a fun game of kickball. I enjoyed it. Why not? Why do they always have to be fighting and throwing drinks at each other? Let them have balance. I enjoyed it. I would like more of it. Kenya and Mark came together and created a beautiful child. Their daughter is absolutely gorgeous. She is so precious. When she was in that pool and the swimming instructor was getting her prepared to go underwater and she closed her eyes and was holding her breath, just absolutely adorable. And you can tell they both love that child. That's it. They don't love each other. This couple, there is nothing there. No kind of chemistry. I don't know how they got together. From what I've seen, especially for me, it was confirmed at the bowling alley when they all came together to bowl, and you know, Mark was told that Kenya Ted Gregg, but not Nene, and then it got into this whole thing about Nene. He was just like, you know, defending Nene like he always does. For me, the way he was talking about all of the stuff, the issues that Kenya was having with people in front of people, I feel like he's always in business mode. He's a businessman, right? I feel like even his relationship is a business transaction. He wants somebody who will stand beside him or behind him and help him build. He doesn't want somebody that's going to cause friction with business relationships. And I think that's what he gets from Kenya. I think he fell in love with Kenya outside of this TV show, and Kenya being Kenya, that's how we've came to know her. That's how we've come to know her as the villain on this TV show is not sitting right with him. So he fights that image of her consistently on camera because he probably fell in love with the idea of this woman and just the idea of them just, you know, being these business moguls, right? Because the way he talks, everything is a deal, a business transaction. Let's put this aside. Let's come together so these young men can know. Like, I love the fact that he was doing this charity. I loved everything that he said. It's just the way he talks, how he talks, and the words that he uses. This dude is constantly working. That's what it is. And Kenya gets in her feelings a lot. And I think he just does not want to deal with that, or he wants to check that in her, because I think he does want to pursue a relationship with her because he had a child with her. But I think he wants to pursue a relationship with who he met, not on the show. This woman on the show, he's not rocking with at all. And I think it eats Kenya up that Mark is Nene's biggest fan. I think he's a fan of her. I think he wants to mend that relationship between Nene and Kenya because, like it or not, Nene is one of the most successful housewives out of this franchise. It's Nene, Bethany Frankel, and Lisa Vanderpump. They were the only ones who were really able to flip their coin from this TV show. So she is a huge presence. She is somebody who brings in money regardless on this show or off this show. She is a coin grabber. And I think that he wants to have a really good relationship with Nene Leakes because it's business. That's business and that's money. And Kenya messing that up is not working for him. And he's also a fan because when Nene came in, his face lit up. His face lit up and Greg went right up to him and was just like, listen, I can't be a part of nothing that my wife is not a part of. And Mark got that together real quick because he wanted Nene there because she's a huge presence. You'll come for Kenya, but everybody will come for Nene because that's just how it is. You know what I mean? She is a top dog on the show. It is what it is. Like her or not, it is what it is, right? I think that's that whole thing. He probably might not really care for Nene behind the scenes, but he's just like, nah, we're not gonna mess up this relationship. And I think Kenya doesn't get it because she gets in her feelings. And you know who knows that more than anybody else on this show? Nene, because the way she hopped into that bowling alley and was kissing everybody, and when she went to Mark, she was all over Mark or whatever. I was just like, oh girl, you know, she knows that her enemy's husband is a fan of hers. She knows, and she was eating it up and doing the most, and Portia and Kandi were living. Especially when he got Ken in check. I was cracking up. This is what I missed from this show because Portia was cracking them jokes on Ken. Portia was like, oh, who's Ken? And Ken shut right up. And then Nene came in and she was just like, I like Ken. Ken falls in line. Ken can't say nothing. And then you cut to Ken, you're going, I absolutely agree. Yes, you're right. And Nene just sitting there cheesing. The end of this episode was really good because it reminded me of why I started to watch this show. It's a good time. It really is a good time. I hope they get this formula together. I really think the production company is a problem. I think the ladies have become very comfortable and have become friends with the production company, and they're just not giving us the same, you know, show that they used to. I personally feel like they need to get a new production company of people who are not friends with the talent, who work with the network, want to make a coin, and want to make this show what it was. Because when you start to become friends with your boss, relationships and things, relationships start to form, and it gets really complicated and it gets really muddled, and you just don't produce a good show because you're just trying to make people look good. You're giving us an ad, you know what I mean? You're giving a political campaign for these cast members, and you're not giving us the show that we tuned in for 10 years ago. Hopefully they get back there. We will see what happens with these Housewives shows next season. I'm not quite sure. I definitely think they need to do some all-star seasons. They really need to mix it up with the OGs because what they have been putting out has not been good, especially when they got competition in Love is Blind. Speaking of Love is Blind, I will be reviewing that show, and I'm posting my review either Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Stay tuned to this channel. Like that notification bell so you can know when I'm posting things. That's it for me on this review of this episode. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comment section below. And if you like what you see here, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you for the next episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. If it's interesting. It is interesting. If it ain't, listen, I can't. Kenya, I think you're going to turn up more on Tanya, and baby, that's not a good look for you. I hope you don't get the cookie lady treatment because she came on this show to advertise them cookies and she damn near shut her business down. Stay woke, sis. Tanya is not a good target for you. Stay focused on Nene. Stay focused on Nene. That's more your speed. You can't come after America's sweetheart and win. It won't work. See you guys soon. Love ya.